Hello and welcome to this very special coverage of the big story that's played out today. It is Paytm. I'm Hersh Sayta, with me is Vishwanath Nair, and we're going to try and dissect what's happened with Paytm today
Right.
and what we can expect, Vishi, going forward.
So
as well.
what's happening, Harsh, is at this point in time, last evening, just about this time, Paytm came out, Reserve Bank of India came out with a statement saying that Paytm Payments Bank is going to face some additional strictures. Now they're saying additional because March of 2022, Paytm had to face the original set of strictures where basically customers were not allowed, or new customers were not allowed to be onboarded on the Paytm Payments Bank app. What is also interesting to note here is that after that, the RBI conducted a system-wide audit. They did an external validation of whatever came out from that audit and found that there were persistent non-compliances, and there were maximum or material supervisory concerns that were coming out at Paytm Payments Bank, and that's why the RBI came out with a set of strictures. Now, what are these strictures? That's something important to note here. Basically, there are no fresh deposits or top-ups allowed in a Paytm Payments Bank account. What we also know from the RBI's statement is that customers can continue to spend or withdraw the funds which are currently in their account. However, after the 29th of February, they cannot make fresh deposits. They cannot make any kind of other banking services or banking transactions on the Paytm Payments Bank account. The question, Harsh, here is why did the RBI go after this? So what our sources have been telling us is that there were material supervisory concerns, basically with regard to KYC, data storage, and how data identification was being done between the two entities, Paytm as well as Paytm Payments Bank. That's why the RBI has come out very strongly, and they have done these specific strictures against Paytm Payments Bank. What is also interesting to note here is that as far as the customers are concerned, there is really no problem with the way they conduct their transactions on the Paytm app. Customers can continue to use their UPI accounts. They can continue to borrow loans from Paytm. They can continue to do equity transactions, brokerage services, as well as insurance transactions. All of those things remain the same at Paytm. However, the problem will come in as far as the payments aspect of it is concerned. Paytm, over the last 2 years, since the RBI put out these strictures in March of 2022, Paytm had been already shifting their back-ended bank-related services to other banks. Now, what they're going to do is basically move completely to the other banks, and that's where the situation stays right now, Harsh.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vishy, before we delve deeper, let's quickly go across to what the management actually had to say. We had both the founder, CEO, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, as well as Bhavish Agarwal, who's the CFO, speak about what's happening and what the plan going forward is all about. Let's listen into a slice of that.
Important thing is that Paytm Payments Bank has received regulatory directives from RBI, and we are taking immediate steps to comply with the directions. The users of the Paytm Payment Bank can use the saving account balance, the wallet balance, which is used in FASTag and NCMC, etc. account till 29th February. And effectively, that means that they can continue to add money, etc. But after 29th February, they cannot add incremental money to the bank account or saving account and so on. OCL, as a payment aggregator for online-offline merchant, and already works with various other banks, and Paytm Payment Bank is one of the key banks in that. And from here on, we are very clear that we will work with only other banks and not PPBL. And PPBL is just one of the various other banks, any which ways. OCL has already been working with other banks since last 2 years, and especially when embargo had come to the payment bank, we already had started to work and accelerated the plan for movement to other banks, and other banks have actually already started working with us. So it is an important thing for me to tell you that we continue to decline and decrease the slantwise dependency on Paytm Payment Bank, but there is still significant enough dependency, I would rather say, there. And we now accelerate the plan and completely move to other payment banks partners. And remember, these are payments related relationships, which means all banks have necessary technology and capability already there. And I'm very happy to tell you that we are genuinely overwhelmed by the support that we've received from the various banks, large banks of this country and our country, and those who are already a partner, and more additional large banks have reached out at very, very senior level to say that they will be very happy to help us and happy to execute relationships that we in past have been doing with Paytm Payment Bank. And we obviously very clearly we are going to take that as a step forward and work with current and many more incremental bank partners. Going forward, the keyword is that we will not work with Paytm Payment Bank, and that is what probably means that other banks will come. With regard to the direction on termination of nodal account of OCL, that is 197 Communication PBSL by Feb 29, OCL and PBSL are already in process of moving nodal account to other large commercial banks, and that will be done definitely before the due date. And OCL's marketing and financial services businesses, where we market and sell other services to the consumers, are not affected due to these directions. And these directions are towards the associate company, Paytm Payment Bank Limited. It is important for me to point out that there will be requirement to have operational change for the merchant relationships that we have, where the merchants have relationship with Paytm Payment Bank, and those relationships needs to be operatingly be changed, and there will be an operation change there. Overall, I can say that it is on behalf of Paytm, I can say that it is more of a big speed bump, but it is something that we believe that with partnership of other banks and capabilities that we have already developed, we'll be able to see through in next few days or quarters, as the case would be.
Till the time we are able to make these operational changes, let's pause the new origination of loans for that period of time. And once we are able to solve the operational things for existing and the new one, we restart. So there will be some disruption, and hence this 300 to 500 crore number that Madhur was saying will have some impact from coming in from lending, that we will not be originating loans for maybe a couple of weeks before we solve for the operational challenges, and then we go back to normal.
Right. So loans originating loan originations, as they call it, has stopped, Vishy. What is the impact? Well, Paytm came out with a release yesterday. We all know about it, 300 to 500 crore on EBITDA. Yeah. And we were speaking earlier today, the EBITDA of Paytm, 450 crore is EBITDA before ESOP, right? So if you wipe out 300 to 500 crore of that, that's virtually leaving you back to where you were probably a year or two back. And so it pushes back profitability by quite a bit. Of course, we don't have the exact numbers on where it pushes profitability back, Vishy, but one guesses that it would be at least a year or two. Yeah. And the other piece is, on top of this, you have an ESOP of 1,000 crore, all of which needs to be covered to go PAT positive. Yeah. Yeah. So it does push the business back by quite a bit. The other piece I also want to highlight last off before I hand it over to you for our exclusive, Vishy, is the fact that you have a customer base of 35 crore customers, 10 crore of which are monthly active users, right? A lot of this will play negative sentiment on the monthly active users. So how many of them will actually migrate to a new commercial bank, which Bhavesh and Vijay were speaking about? I'm not so sure. And once they migrate, will they migrate back to Paytm Payments Bank as and when the license comes back is the real question. Yeah. And that is where we are in limbo. We're not sure whether customers will actually even come back, and that 300 to 500 crore EBITDA will actually get recovered or not. That's where the question lies, right?
Yeah. So that's also where one of our exclusive stories is coming in that we broke just this morning. Basically, what we understand from sources is that the Reserve Bank of India's move last evening was specifically intended as a precursor to a license revocation for Paytm Payments Bank. Now, that is a big move from the RBI towards a payments bank. Now, payments banks are a little less than 10 years old in the ecosystem. They were brought in as a differentiated sort of banking service, and they were intended to support financial inclusion. Now, of course, with the RBI being pretty unhappy with the way compliance has been handled at Paytm Payments Bank, they're saying that, listen, enough is enough. your game's about to end, and you need to really pull up your pants. So by the 29th of February, we'll have clarity on what happens with Paytm Payments Bank and therefore Paytm.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that essentially could mean big news for Paytm as well as Paytm shareholders, because we're not sure how the business is going to evolve post this. And with so much of uncertainty and the news that we're getting in, Vishy, it seems like we are on a very, very weak footing when it comes to Paytm. But RBI has put restrictions on Paytm. We have Pragati with the analysis on how this will impact the various products and various lines of business of Paytm. Pragati.
Right, Hersh, as Vishy also rightly mentioned in the beginning, that we need to assess this entire situation into two aspects. One, impact on products, and the other, impact on customers. And for the benefit of our viewers as well, I'm going to break it down into two parts here. First, I'll begin with the impact on products. Now, naturally, Paytm and Paytm Payments Bank have a number of offerings. So we need to see at every single offering from both the merchants and the customers' perspective and how they will have a bearing on the daily working of that. One, let's take a look at the Paytm Payment Gateway. The business continues as usual for all the online merchants. There's no change in that. Second, the offline merchant payment network offerings also continue. There will be no impact on that whatsoever. And the company has also clarified about it in the exchange filing that we were just talking about in the show in the beginning. Next, the FASTag continues as usual. FASTag was one product that was being talked about repeatedly, and even the customers were concerned as to what will happen, because that's a major offering from Paytm. It continues as it is. There's nothing to worry about. The Paytm POS and the Soundbox services also remain unaffected. There's, however, one slight change that is coming with regards to loan. Even though Paytm has said that there's no material impact on the lending business, in a con call or the analyst call that was conducted today in the afternoon at 3:30 p.m., Bhavesh Gupta, the company COO, has said that for the time being, temporarily, the origination of new loans is being paused because they are trying to await a resolution of operational issues, because a number of operational issues have come up because of the changes that are happening. So for the time being, they have paused the rolling out of fresh loans. However, in the near future, they might start them again, but we are awaiting clarity on that. Let me be very clear about that. Next, let's look at the impact on customers. We already mentioned it during our other coverages that there is no material impact on customers whatsoever as to what has happened at Paytm. One, if you look at, there's no impact on user deposits in saving accounts. Nothing much is changing for customers. There's no impact on deposits in wallets, FASTags, and NCMC accounts as well. And as far as the UPI payments are concerned, because a lot of people have been thinking that maybe there might be some changes in that, there's no immediate impact on UPI payments as well. One small bit, even here as well, like it was there in the impact on deposits, customers, because RBI has given a deadline of February 29, customers will not be able to add any money in wallets and savings account after February 29th. So that's the update that we have in terms of the impact on customers and the impact on the products.
All right. Thanks for that update, Pragati. Harsh, the interesting part here is in terms of the company or always been trying to downplay any kind of negative news. This happened last month as well when the RBI raised the risk weights back in November. After that, the company came out with an entirely different story, saying that they were anyway not going to look at the 50,000 or sub 50,000 sort of loan, even though that contributed to a large chunk of their loan volumes, not as much value. Now, of course, the company is saying that we will move everything to the other banks, and that will sort of magically resolve this problem. 29 days is a very short period of time to resolve that. An interesting question also I had was with regard to the investor community, because Paytm has been that stock that everybody loves to talk about straight from the day it got listed till now. Every time something happens in the sector, the investors sort of bear the brunt of it. So with this move, what exactly has happened and is likely to happen?
Right. So, Vishy, before we step into what the investor profile currently looks like, I want to highlight that this was a company which listed at 45 times sales 2 years back. Now, 20,000 crore was the size of the IPO. 9,000 crore was the OFS size. And what we saw, therefore, is a large retail participation which came out. It was 2 times oversubscribed at 1.5 lakh crore market cap, right? Now, when you look at the market cap as of yesterday close, it was 50,000. So you had investors who had invested at 1.5 lakh crore at IPO price, losing 67% of their wealth as of yesterday alone.
Oh my God.
Now, to give more perspective, today the stock is down by another 20%, another 10,000 crore wiped out on investor wealth. And, I've listed down some shareholders who have lost wealth today, like the likes of a Safe Mauritius, Safe Partners owned entity, Resilient Asset Managers, again, 1,000 crore each of these, and Fin has also lost 1,000 crore. Vijay Shekhar Sharma is the 4th largest shareholder there. He's lost roughly 800 crore in today's 20% slide. SoftBank loses around 490 odd crore. SVF also, which is SoftBank Vision Fund, also losing around 490 crore. So you have these plethora of investors losing a large amount of wealth. And, one more piece, very interesting here. Berkshire Hathaway owned 2.5% in Paytm till the September quarter. They have sold out in the month of December. Right? So we've seen Berkshire Hathaway also sell out of Paytm. So that's the one very interesting piece. I'm not sure whether they made a profit or a loss. That we'll have to go back and check. But nonetheless, they've sold out.
Interesting bet for that. But you know what, Hersh? I have a problem with the way brokerages have been covering the stock.
Yes.
Despite multiple bad news coming in over the last couple of months, we have not seen that big of a move from the brokerages. We have seen some downgrades. Some maybe change in the target price, but mostly brokerages have remained fairly neutral to any kind of news that's coming in. I have Mimamsa standing by to tell us what exactly is happening with the brokerages on Paytm.
Yeah. Hi, Vishay. So several brokerages have downgraded their view on Paytm on business growth to 6.30% year on year, citing serious concerns over the RBI's move along with the business model of the company. Now, Bernstein has said that for all practical purposes, RBI's order ends operations of Paytm Payments Bank, and it adds to the already heavy regulatory overhang on the business, considering the RBI stopped Paytm to onboard new customers in 2022 as well, which is a restriction that still remains in place. Now, Paytm has already been struggling to turn profitable. With this development, Citigroup as well as Paytm itself has said that they're expecting operating profits to take a hit of rupees 300 to 500 crore annually. Considering existing customers will not be able to avail basic banking services, it can significantly hamper Paytm's ability to retain customers in slightly longer term, and that would in turn affect the business. Well, analysts do not expect any near-term solution to this, but the only comforting factor that the analysts are pointing out is that the fintech company's lending, insurance, and equity broking businesses are independent of the Paytm Payments Bank. So that is something that will still continue, and the business remains as usual for them. So there won't be any immediate impact on Paytm's UPI business as well. However, there is a risk associated to the margins for payments business, as higher margin products like wallets and FASTag are dependent on the payments bank entity. So if you look at other businesses as well, things are not looking very promising, as Paytm had exited its BNPL segment in December and rejigged its lending portfolio towards higher ticket loans. So all in all, things are not looking as promising, according to analysts, as a major chunk of the business is going to go away with Paytm Payments Bank business.
Right. Very interesting, Mimamsa. One last piece, Vishy, I'd like to try and just flag off. You were speaking about how in November RBI tweaked the RWAs for various assets. In fact, December was the first quarter when their loan disbursements degrew. Right. So Paytm's first quarter where the loan disbursements actually degrew sequentially was December, coinciding with RBI's so-called rap on the knuckles. But that's the insights that we've tried to summarize and bring to you, Vishy and myself. as well as everyone who spoke with us. It's a wrap on this edition of The Big Story. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit. We hope this was insightful. From Vishy, myself, everyone who put the show together, thanks so much for watching.